Now, Todd McKeever's META4 treads a very tried and tested road that we've seen many times. We've got a man who wakes up in a spacesuit on a beach in Coney Island. He meets a giant woman in a Santa Claus outfit who speaks only in dingbat symbols, and then they go on a journey to discover the source of a map that is scarred onto his torso. I mean, honestly, how many times have we seen that exact story?
Once.
Yeah.
In META4.
Yeah.
Well, seriously, Al, where were you going with that? I don't even know how... Anyway, META4 is a unique story which could also be seen as a collection of overlapping stories and symbols, which makes you kind of wonder which one is actually real and which one isn't, if indeed any of them are real.
But you know what? It's like McKeever's actually challenging you to make your own call on that one, I think.
Well, he certainly doesn't give you any definitive answers.
No.
And you know what? After about the 25th reading of this...
I did wonder where you went for a couple of days.
Took a while.
Yeah.
I kind of came to the decision that I didn't really want any answers. Yeah, maybe it's the fact that there's all these conflicting symbols and the references. It's this big loop, this big self-referencing loop that I didn't want to have explained. It's actually a really ingenious way of telling a story.
Yeah. And on the subject of symbols, though, as I mentioned, there's the giant woman who speaks only in dingbats.
Gasolina.
Now, that was one of my favourite things in this book.
She's pretty awesome.
It did trip me up a little bit to start with, in terms of, I'm wondering what a question mark or a skull and crossbones is actually going to sound like in conversation.
Well, true, but as you kind of progress through the book, you begin to create your own language for it, and you actually do begin to understand it like the astronaut does.
Yeah, well, although, as the astronaut says when he meets her near the start, it's less of an understanding and more of a feeling, which that phrase itself is a metaphor for how to approach the whole story.
Okay, but we could probably talk for hours about the meaning of this book. We have, but it's a it's a short show. Let us move on. We'll go into Todd McKeever's artwork.
Oh yes. Now the artwork, honestly, I felt like every panel of this was a work of art in itself.
It truly is. McKeever has such a complex way of using black and white, 'cause this is a black and white graphic, that I find myself layering colour over it in my mind, and even when I think back to certain panels,
I remember it in colour.
It's in colour. It's so complex and so finely nuanced. It's actually, I think, some of McKeever's finest work.
Yeah, and the character models as well. They go from extremely exaggerated and stylised through to utterly realistic in the case of the spaceman. And you wondered whether that makes him more real or less real. It just really messes with your head. That actually adds to the mystery of what this book is about.
It really does. That each panel is so complex and self-referential. Again, it matches that story absolutely perfectly.
Yeah.
Al, what are you going to give this?
Well, look, I'm definitely, this was quite special.
Yeah.
I was originally, though, going to give it a borrow.
Yeah.
I finished reading it and I went, what was that about? I had no idea. But then the next day, I woke up in the morning and I was still thinking about it, still turning it over in my head. So I went through it again, and then again. And the more you take this story apart in your head, the more you see the real genius of it.
Absolutely.
It really is a very special book.
It is.
And I have to give it a buy. It's top shelf quality. This is a definite buy from me.
Cool.
How about you? So that's a buy then. I understand.